All right. Everybody can hear me? Yes. Okay, awesome. Okay, I just need a little tear fell when Reverend Twan was talking, so let me wipe that away. So I'm really excited to be here and at the same time super nervous. So can we see, both emotions can be equal at the same time, right? So the topic that I picked, because I've been thinking about this, I guess you asked us like a couple months ago. So from the time you sent us that message, I was like, what am I going to talk about? Oh, here we go. Control. So realizing that it has to be good, it has to be perfect, it has to be effective, it has to be everything in 30 minutes, right? Because that's how I am. I'm a perfectionist. And that is a recipe for unhappiness, basically. So my message today, the title is called Out of Control and On to Faith. So as I think about that message, and it just, like how Cynthia was talking about last Sunday, up until the very moment, the 24th hour, right, it came to me about my message. So let me just share a little backstory. There is many things I could talk about, but I was compelled to talk about what currently I'm dealing with right now in my life, which is online dating. So it's interesting because, and so we're gonna make this fun, because I have to make this fun, otherwise it would make me cry, basically. But so I recognized I want to get married. I want to have a partner. You know, that's what I want to do. But I recognized that in my pursuits to date and meet, it was not going well at all. So, so I said, you know what? I saw something through Meetup. I'm involved in a lot of meetups. And there was a dating coach that advertised and do a session with her. So I did a session with her, which turned into 8 sessions, which turned into, now I'm part of a women's empowerment group that works on building self-esteem, helping you love yourself, connecting. And so what I realized from that dating coaching experience was there were things I needed to work on in my consciousness, right? Like we all know, but do you really know what they are? Do you really know why you're experiencing what you're experiencing? I didn't. I mean, I know it's like, well, duh, you know, but no, it's not duh. It's so deeply subconscious that you need to take time to pause and understand, what are you really putting out there? So this practice of online dating, working with a dating coach, I also got a new therapist at that time too. I'm just covering all grounds, transformation out the wazoo, right? Because that's me, that I truly have come to know myself, that I am a seeker of truth, like Reverend Twana said. I want to know how to do this life in a way that makes me feel good about living and helping other people. So I must do what I can to get out of my way to do this, even how painful it may be sometimes. So I realized that I had really no control over life per se, that the attempt to bring in control was for me to feel safe, to control my outcomes, to make sure that things happened the way I wanted them to, because I needed to feel like it was going well. But that's not what's happening. It's not, life is not showing me that I can control it. And the more I hold on to it, the more painful it is. So I had to say to myself, what can I do to get out of this control and into faith? So it came to me in the women's empowerment group that I'm part of, we're doing journaling. And so one of the journal prompts was, what makes you feel out of control? And so when I read that, I was like, I know. And then I didn't realize that from that would pour the message today. So let me just start with that, and then we'll go. Oh, and another thing too is, so before I go into the message, I want each one of us, because I was thinking too, how do I bring the congregation in? How do I make this apply for you? Yeah, this is my life, but it's your life too, right? So what makes you feel out of control? I encourage you to take, we're going to do a meditation at the end, but I encourage you to take that in and look at what makes you feel out of control in your own life. So I recognize that what makes me feel out of control specifically is when my expectations are not met, when I cannot control the outcome to the best of my ability to feel safe, when I start to feel like the dating wasn't going well. Social life, so I moved to Virginia in 2018, so still working on building friendships, connections, but I couldn't make it go the way I wanted, which was to make me feel like everything is well and I feel okay. And I had to look at my expectations. Sometimes I feel like my emotions are so out of control because I don't know what I can count on. I feel like nothing at times is certain, and that prompted me to understand the control I needed to feel this false sense of control, let me say, to feel comfortable. I felt very much at the mercy of other people, and they were letting me down a lot, and my anxiety was going through the roof. And logically, I understand that I'm a whole person, whole, complete, and perfect. But giving that power to others to make me feel safe was where I have been since a child. Knowing that I needed other people, the external experience to line up so that I could feel like I'm okay. And I recognize now that that external experience comes deeply from childhood. So I recognize growing up in my household, my sister and I had a great childhood experience. We had all our needs were taken care of. But I think the one thing that I recognize is that emotionally, and this is where I have deep compassion for my parents. So glad you guys are here so you can hear this, okay? So we don't have to have any more conflict. I love you all. But I recognize that if you are not brought up in a space where you are valued, not because your parents don't value you, but just because they themselves don't even know how to value themselves. So therefore, they pass that deep-seated emptiness, is what I'm going to call it, emotional emptiness, onto you. And they don't mean it because they care for you in the way they can. But for me, that need to know that I'm enough, I'm complete, I'm whole, I'm perfect, it was not there. The support was there. We did every athletic event, right? Dad, you took me up to Ohio State to watch the volleyball team, right? All the stuff was there that children need to feel like they are cared for, but that emotional part, no. And so I've had to go inside and figure out, how do I build that for myself? So, but I recognize that I was settling a lot. I was settling a lot in terms of the little that I could get from people to feel safe. And that settling deeply relates to that emptiness. So if I can get a little bit to fill up, then maybe I'll be okay, but not really enough to feel safe enough. So I was surviving. I truly believe that I was surviving my emotional life, my emotional home. And even at 46, up until just recently, right, I realized that I'm still surviving because the online dating and working with a dating coach showed me when you are dating and when you're out there, the energy, the belief, who you are shows up. And so, do I believe that I'm worthy? Do I believe that I'm whole? Do I believe that I deserve to be cherished? Well, I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure. I had to get to a place where I saw that my coping strategy was to just survive, take emotionally what I could get, the little I could get from where I was in my environment, very much driven by the outside. Then I had to step back and say, this is why I need faith. I mean, I know I need faith, right? But this is where I need to change my thinking. I need to lean on God. I need to not have to do it all by myself. I can't. It's like, I remember just one session with my coach, I was telling her, I'm like, or not my coach, it was my therapist, I was like, I give up. I can't do this anymore. What I was really telling her was that I was having a breaking point where I recognized this is not for me to control anymore. This is for me to set my intention, and that's in my talk, set my intention, change my thinking, and allow God to lift it. I don't have to carry this, and it's been so heavy. So living looks like, for me, being comfortable with my emotions, having the courage to express my needs. That's one thing too, that your needs are valid. You're important. I mean, what you have to say matters. And in the world of online dating, right, with meeting guys or meeting whatever, I need to see, how do they respect my feelings? Even just something as simple as, no, I don't want to go out on a first date without us talking on the phone first, or video chatting, right? Seeing, do they even respect that boundary? Because that lets me know, do they value my opinion, what I want, what I need, right? In the past, I might have skid past it and said, oh, well, but no, that's what's important to me. So if that's not important to you, next, right? So anyway, so it's things like that, right? It's little things like that that show me I'm worthy, I'm valued, I need to be cherished. What I feel is important is important. So having this security inside of me to stay present with life, to be and feel secure, because I feel secure inside of me. That's the second part of this. So if it's not external, then it's internal. You build your security, right? But how do you build your security internally if you've always been conditioned to go internally? Well, thank God for science of mind, right? Because here we go. So the first thing for me was, yes, to have faith in the universe. There's the saying of first, which is first to rely on God, right? To go into the silence. And for me, it was to sit with the very uncomfortable feelings of sadness and depression. Since I've been a child, so teenage years, angry years, mid-20s, sad depression years, right? Because I realized that I was pushing down and sitting on emotions that I needed to express and just not allowing myself to feel what I needed to feel, because if I did, would that make me safe? Would I be accepted? Would I not be rejected by who I needed to express that to? Now I recognize that without being able to express your emotions, and I thought about the class that I took with Rita and Sandy, being comfortable with your emotions, but like it didn't dawn on me. It was like, wait a minute, I should be allowed to feel my emotions. They are valid. But not knowing that created an environment of repression. And I'm not doing that anymore. I'm speaking my emotions. So expectations of people, looking at those, it's not about what I expect from people to make me feel whole, perfect, and good. It's what I need to expect from myself, and again, knowing the truth of who I am as a divine expression of God. Creating affirmations to affirm the universal truth, even when the external does not look like what you want it to. So we work from inside out, right? Those affirmations, although sometimes the people will say, fake it till you make it, I think it's more like intend, be focused, and let it change your life. Because when you say affirmation or when you have an intention, you don't know how it's going to lead you. I didn't know I was going to be standing up here talking to you all about this, but the intention for me was to recognize I'm out of control and into faith, right? And so from that lined up what I'm saying to you about how to release that control and to step into faith. So creating an affirmation, even if the external doesn't match right now, believe your affirmation. Meeting with a practitioner, studying with a practitioner, being with a practitioner, holding that space can really help you know the truth of who you are when you don't really know yourself. And then the last thing that I wrote down these are steps I feel to building security internally. If I didn't say that, I didn't say that. But therapy. So, I think therapy is a spiritual practice. For me, I've been doing therapy for a while, but I recently got a new therapist because of, I had a hysterectomy in May. So before that, I was told 3 years prior to that I needed to have a hysterectomy because I had the disposition for uterine cancer. So, but I resisted that like crazy because I hadn't had a chance to have a baby yet. So I was really angry and again, feeling out of control. But therapy has been a way of the subconscious in me being released and understanding. I'm able to see through therapy how my behavior lines up with my thinking, question that, and understand how can I change that. So I'm extremely grateful for therapy because it's brought a lot of healing. I truly believe that because I decided to find a new therapist, I talked about that when I was faced with having a hysterectomy, that the universe was setting me up to move into a new direction and to see the world differently, to see my world differently. I had to build emotional maturity, security by seeing the experiences and living in a way that didn't give me false security or a false sense of being secure. So I often think my inner child, I go to my inner child place, and I feel like she's been running me forever. And for the reason of trying to keep me safe. I appreciate her. She's a very bossy, loud, domineering person. And that is because she wants to keep me safe. But I recognize that I need to keep her safe. Actually, I told her the other day, I was like, you know what? It's my turn now. I'm 46. I'm in charge of you. We're going to do this thing together. You know, you don't have to run me anymore, you know? So, but she really has been someone that I've had to get in touch with to see, are you expressing your emotions? Are you being what you need to be? Do you know you're worthy? She's always been my little best advocate. And it was for so long that I ignored her, and now I embrace her because she's putting me on the path of where I need to be. So I read here just, you know, there's so much I wrote here, but what I want to make clear is that 46-year-old Mara is the divine expression of God. I mean, little Mara is the divine expression of God too, but presently as I stand here, 46-year-old Mara is the divine expression of God, my source, my way shower, and I don't have to do this life by myself. I can rely on something bigger that loves me unconditionally. It guides me. And so for all of us, right, it loves us unconditionally. It guides us. It can keep us safe. It can expand our life. It does the heavy lifting or the how. We just have to set the what, the intention, knowing what we want. And for me, what I want is to be an emotionally secure, mature adult. And so that is what I'm working on in my affirmations, in my therapy, in the online dating. All this stuff is giving me the ability, the opportunity, the fun to affirm this sentence. I am an emotionally secure, safe adult who can create my own joy, my own happiness. It's not outside of me, it's in me right now. If I can tune into it and change my thinking, which I'm doing. So, let's see. I'm creating a life I love by changing my thinking and seeing what does not work out of life. Using therapy and my spiritual tools to change, I become more aware and let God do the work in me so that life can be what I've always intended for it to be. I didn't know how to do it, truly. I was just surviving, right? So I'm getting out of my own way, pausing, being more quiet, and letting God do it. And so it is. So now I'd like to do that meditation about what makes you feel out of control. So if you feel, comfortable just closing your eyes, I'm going to lead you through a short meditation here. So just pausing for a moment and recognizing that there's only one truth, and that truth is God, and that looks like unlimited opportunities and experiences of good in this world for you, for me, for all of us. But I want you to pause for a second and see what Spirit says to you about what makes you feel out of control. Just allow yourself to feel whatever you need to feel. Whatever comes up is the divine, pulling on your heartstrings to go higher and to heal. What makes you feel out of control? So if something has come up and you're ready to look at that, ask Divine Source within, how do you begin to heal this? Is there anything that you're afraid of? Anything that you're uncertain of? Just knowing that God supports you in unearthing that. And as we move further along in the meditation, if you feel comfortable, create an affirmation, create a word of truth in the divine mind, knowing that that thing is not the truth of who you are or your experience of life. Just a few more minutes here. So I invite you to continue to do the deepening work to understand further and further, and know that the universe supports you in understanding and living the most exciting life that you can imagine. And so it is. Excuse me. Okay, as we close, we let go of control and we move into faith. And so it is. So it is.